Hi everyone, I want to try harder on my YouTube channel, but again, I ended up going with a super minor thing, a storage for my Hatagane clamps, and this is what I made. Since some of you may not be familiar with what these Hatagane are, please let me quickly go over what they are before showing how I made the storage. Okay, so Hatagane is a Japanese traditional clamp and you can tighten this end to fix this jaw and use this screw to clamp things. There is a bigger one like 3 feet, but Hatagane usually doesn't have a strong clamping force like a normal clamp. Then, why do I like Hatagane? Well, I like the both jaw close parallel to each other just like a quick clamp, yet I can control the clamping force just like F-clamp. I found it ideal for jointing thimbles or any small projects where the clamp handles usually interfere with each other. When you talk about the price, it's kinda ridiculous. I got them as gift from my friend in Japan, so I can't complain. But a pair of 12-inch Hatagane is sold as $27 plus tax in the US, while one piece is sold as about $4.50 including tax when it's on sale in Japan. Anyways, let me show you how I made the storage tray. As usual, I cut the wood by hand saw. Since I only needed the small amount of lumber for this project, I bought S4S lumber, so it's easy to dimension it. It sounds weird, but it's true that most of S4S always needs to be dimensioned. Then I cleaned one edge and ripped the board. Oh, I bought these basic clamps instead of holdfast for this new workbench. One jaw is removable and it can go into the 3/4 dog hole. I'm sure a holdfast does a better job for this purpose, but if your budget is limited, this clamp is a good option to add an extra clamp in your shop while you can clamp things by using the dog hole too. Now, cutting mortises for the bottom of the tray. Since I decided to use a dovetail joint for the outside of the tray, I just wanted to get this process done before cutting this piece to the length so I can keep the edge clean when cutting the dovetail. The fabrication order is always important to have a clean and efficient finish. Here, I adjust the length for all pieces with my Koguchi Dai shooting board. I really like this thing as I can approach to the end grain with an angle. I actually saw Paul Sellers just introduce the similar concept shooting board for Western style hand planes. Moving on to cutting the joints. Now I cut the dovetails. Well, I like marking both pins and tails and work on them together. And I tell you, a dovetail is all about the marking accuracy. If you can mark them somewhat accurately, most likely your joint will be tight. I'm not good at it, but I still can make a pretty tight one unless it's like on a 1 foot wide board. Just be careful when working on red oak. It's hard to see the marking lines with the grain and it's very confusing. One thing I care about here is, rather than cutting it as clean as possible, I try to reduce the risk of a big mistake. Like here, in most cases when cutting a tail, as long as you do the powering towards inside of the board, it's going with the grain and you get less chance of the tear out. I also try to avoid weird grain to be on where I cut the joint to begin with. For the pins, I found this backboard method works the best for me. There are some tips of cutting dovetail that I want to share, but I plan to make a box joint tip video first. Then I also cut the tenon on the bottom pieces, and now I gotta assemble them. Anyways, I cut the joints pretty tight, so just in case, I clamp the pin both sides so it won't split. This is actually my least favorite process because I feel pressured by the fact all the effort to cut good joints may result in a tiny gap, and that means the product is out of the square as well. This time, it was kind of okay, so I trimmed the excess by a flash trim saw and do the hand plane to clean the surface. I also made a stopper piece by a scrap wood, and here's the final product. I'm happy with how it came out, and I may need to make a lid sometime, but for now, it's just fine. The dovetail looks tight too. The reason I use this stopper to hold the hatagane instead of just letting hatagane to bite the bottom piece is, in this way, I don't have to consider the clearance to rotate the screw knob. This makes the storage to hold more number of hatagane. Anyways, I guess that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I would be happy if you liked the video and happier if you subscribe to this channel. If you have any suggestion to my video, it's also welcome. See you!